Hello, everybody. I am Joan Turner of Joan's Art Gallery. And if you've seen some of my other videos, you will know that we have a blast here and that I need to put on my glasses so I can see you better and see my work better as well. I am Joan Turner, Joan's Art Gallery, and we owe all these wonderful tutorials to Miss Bethany Lovelace of the Drake Council on Aging. And I say this at the beginning and end of each tutorial. And you know, I'm just thinking about my hair. When the very first tutorial I did, everyone was like, oh, your hair is so good, blah, blah, blah. Well, I'm like on my 15th tutorial. So now it's like, the hair is the hair. Whatever happens, happens there. So I apologize, okay? So Bethany Lovelace, Drake Council on Aging, said to me, will you create some tutorials for folks who are at home and kind of sheltering at home and all kinds of good stuff? And I said, absolutely. And she's just this most amazing person. So the Drake Council on Aging is also making up art packs so that people can actually follow along with these tutorials. You must call them first because supplies are limited, but they are a pack of paints, acrylic paints, brushes, pictures, and this is what we're going to be working on today. We're going to make an ornament, and it's going to have poinsettias on it. Okay, and I've done this one before. This is like so cool. You're absolutely going to love it. Okay, so they will give you ornaments, paints, brushes, all kinds of good stuff. But we've also done a number of, we've done some rock paintings. So they've given you rocks and stuff. We've done some regular pictures on canvases, canvas boards, you name it, they are into it. And we share these videos with Drake TV so everyone can see them. And so, I mean, you might not need an art pack. You might have your own paints and whatnot, especially if you're doing crafts or painting on your own anyway, okay? But the art kits that are coming out of Drake are basic primary colors of acrylic paint, which is red, blue, yellow, and there's black and white there as well. There may be some secondary colors like green, but if there's not, you can actually make green by mixing blue and yellow. You can make orange by mixing red and yellow. You can make purple by mixing red and blue. Okay, so you can actually make any color at all from those three primary colors. And having the white and the black in there actually will allow you to make any kind of values that you want, which is important because today we're going to use that concept. So, so we share with Drake TV, we share with Billerica TV, and Billerica TV does we do a little TV show. They have a co-host. It's Intuitive Body and Soul. And we have the most miraculous editor there. Her name is Tara. And she tries to make me look good. And she takes out all the boo-boos that I make, unless she thinks they're funny, then she leaves them in. And she goes, aha, that was funny, Joy, I left that one in. I'm like, okay. So we share with BATV. And last but never least, the GHAA, which is a Greater Havel Arts Association, which I sit on the board of. And so we share them with everyone. These people from the GHA, Drake Council on Aging, DATV, BATV, these are the most awesome people on the planet. And they are really, you know, they're awesome. And I think, you know, this pandemic and whatnot definitely has, you know, hopefully you and your family are safe and not affected or harmed by this. I'm lucky. My family has not been. But it also brings out the best in people. You know, if you're healthy and you can do it, go shop for an elderly neighbor. Empty their trash, okay? Do something. Make the world a better place. In most cases, you make the world a better place is by being in it, okay? So, without further ado, let me tell you, we are going to do an ornament today. And this is I think this is the second ornament that we did. The first one we did looks like this, okay? So if you if you're enjoying them and want to give them as gifts and so on and so forth, absolutely go looking for them. Look for them on the Drake Council on Aging, and look for them on GACV, BATV, and on the GHAA website. We are accessible big time. Okay, so this is what we're doing today. You will need an ornament. Okay, this is my ornament. All right, now I've already painted one coat of dark green on it. So, just, you're gonna end up putting 2 coats on actually. Okay, so I actually, just to save time, already did 1 coat. Okay, and then as you paint it, you know, get a cap, or, you know, this is like a shot glass at, if I'm at the dollar store, a little plastic thing. But you can use anything. You can use a plastic cup, you can use a Dixie cup. Okay, so after I paint them, I put them on here, kind of let them dry, and then I take them, I do the other side, and I put it back on here, but I put it like this. Okay, so you're going to need an ornament. You can use any size ornament. I think the ones in the DCOA packs are about 3 inches. So that's, it's either this or pretty close to it. Easier to paint, I think, on the bigger ones. You can use smaller ones. The little tiny mini ones, okay, probably you have to use like a really small brush and like to do lots of detail. I'm gonna say go bigger, you know, medium or big, medium or large. I would say probably don't do small unless you want to. You are the creator. You can do whatever your heart desires. Okay, so what you will need is your ornament. You will need a palette. In this case, I'm just using a paper plate. You can use an artist palette. You can use wax paper. You can use anything you want. Some people go to the dollar store and buy a porcelain dish or a ceramic dish, and then they paint, and, you know, use that as a palette, and then at the end they wash it up and just kind of reuse it. I am a little bit on that little side, so after I'm done, I flip it and throw it away. Okay, so that you will need. Colors. Okay, for this, you will need green paint. So if you don't have green paint and you need to make green paint, you will need to mix red and, blue and yellow, okay, to get green. So you will need green paint because we're gonna put these leaves on here. Now the background, even though it's green, it's a very dark green, right? So when we have this green on our palette, we're gonna add some brown to it. Okay, and this is a dark brown. It's not a sienna brown for those of you who have lots of paint. For those of you who do not have brown, you will need to mix red and green. All right, so red and green makes brown. And I like kind of mixing my own colors when I can, because then I get exactly the shade that I want. But sometimes, you know, you can get kind of lazy and say, oh, I'll just use this brown because it's already done. Okay. So you will need white, okay? Now, even though there isn't any white in this picture, we're gonna have to prime it because we're making this background really, really, really dark. So in order to get red flowers on there, we're gonna prime it and kind of give ourselves some guidelines and kind of prime it. So I use kind of a lot of white. So I have it about a gallon. You do not need a gallon of white paint, right? But you do need white paint. So you have green, brown, white, and you need red paint. And let me see. Red paint, crimson red is my favorite. And it's kind of a red. You can get orangey red, which is like vermilion, sanded red, or one of my other favorites is rose madder. Okay, so I usually go with either the rose madder or the crimson red, and this crimson red is more like a Christmassy red. Okay, so the ones that you have in your packets that are handed out are just the right color red. They're a very primary basic red. So we have green, brown, red, white, and you are going to need yellow. If you look really close at this, if you have a packet, this picture is included in the packet. If you do not have a packet, just take a snapshot of this. Just have it so that you can look at it. All right. So you will see that there is some very light green in there. Okay, so I make a light green by putting yellow in my green. All right, so yellow is a primary color. So if you have green, you add a little yellow to it, you get that kind of nice, pretty green in there. So we're gonna put that in the dark. So what do we have? Let's do this. We have white, green, brown, red. So that's a pretty limited palette. And what I mean by that is there's not a lot of colors in here. So that's gonna make it kind of easy for us to do. Right? You also need some brushes. Okay, brushes. Where are my brushes? La, 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 la. Okay, brushes. If you're a person who is doing crafts or painting, you probably have bunches of brushes. Right? The packs that Drake Council on Aging is handing out have medium, large, and kind of smaller, detail-y type brushes. Okay, so I want that. So for the background, to do this background, you can use a good size brush. Okay, so this is a 1-inch brush and it's a flat head. This is actually an angled head. So you can use a flat head, you can use an angled head, anything that's going to give you kind of good coverage. Right, then you will need a brush. You'll need a round head, and I'm kind of choosing one that has a little bit of a point on it because when we make our leaves, I want to make them just by kind of pressing on the ornament, and you can actually make leaves just by pressing on them, almost like a one stroke. If you've ever done one strokes or heard of one strokes. Okay, and then the other thing is a detail brush. There are some veins in those leaves and whatnot. You could actually just use like a toothpick to make those lines in there. They're very small. Or you could actually use a very small detail brush or liner brush, which I don't see here. Wait, I lied. Okay, so this is a very, I don't know if you can see it, it's a very small brush, very detailed brush. Like I said, you could use the back part of the brush. You can get a small detail brush. You could use a toothpick, right? So we need a large brush for coverage to do the initial coats. And then we need I'm looking for a brush that's kind of a teardrop shape. And you will see that some of those petals are large and some are small. So if you have more than one size, that's even better. So I have one that's kind of a big teardrop shape. And there's an awful lot of brushes in here. There must be one that will fit the bill. I think I'm going to try this little guy. Kind of an angled, very small brush. I'm thinking if I lay it down, that will work. I think that will work. So give it a shot, give it a try. Okay. And if it doesn't work, just choose a different brush. You can always use Q-tips. I'm a very good Q-tip user, especially the cosmetic ones that come to a point. Those actually make pretty decent leaves. So you have that, you have brushes, you need water, okay? Water dishes, right? Acrylic paints, and that's what you're using, acrylic paints. Once they dry, they become permanent, okay? And that means, wear art clothes or clothes you don't mind getting paint all over. It means cover tables and floors, and you can get dollar store plastic table coverings and put them on your floor, on your table. And also your brushes, okay? If you're not using your brush for a while, put it in the water. If the paint dries in the brush, then the brush becomes hard and you could use it for dotted mandalas, but you can't use it for painting, okay? So it will ruin the brushes. Okay, so you want to take care of your brushes. You want to have water, and you want to have your favorite drink nearby. If you're watching this during the holiday season, you might want to use eggnog, some hot cocoa, whatever your heart desires. Make sure your drink and your cleaning water in 2 different containers. Don't put them both in cups because you'll be so involved in what you're doing. You don't want to drink your paint water. Okay, so we have everything we need. We have water, we have paint, palettes, we have this, we have that. I think we're ready to go. And we even have some music. Feel free to sing. Okay, paper towels. Make sure you have lots of paper towels. Okay. All right, so I'm going to say, let us begin. So I am going to begin by pointing the camera down at the work so that you can see what I am doing. Okay, so let's see here. Let's go this way. Ha! I think success. I might even be able to sit myself down. Yeah. Okay, good. Let's see here. Can you see all right? I think you can see good. Okay, so we're going to take our green. All right, and if you need to mix brown, make your brown first, all right, which is a combination of red and green, okay? So if you need to make green, it's blue and yellow. And then we're going to, after you make your green, we are going to put a little bit of brown in there because we want our background to be extremely dark. So when you look at this handout, okay, you can see the really dark background. And to some people, it might even look black, but it actually is an extremely dark green. So I'm going to keep it here so you can see what's going on. Okay, so you're going to take your green, take some green, put it here. Okay, then you're going to take some brown and mix it in. Right, now that's still relatively light, so I'm going to add some more to it. So what we're looking for is, see, this is the original green, and regardless of how bright your green is, just keep adding some brown to it until it gets a nice, dark, rich value of green, okay? Then you're going to take your ornament, and I usually hold it, but make sure you take this part out and don't lose it. Okay, take the hanging apparatus out of it. Okay, so you can kind of hang on to it this way, and then you're going to paint your ornament. Okay, and like I said, I actually gave this one 2 coats already. So paint your ornament, and now stop the recording and let this dry. Acrylic paints dry relatively fast. Okay, so I'm going to say wait maybe 10 minutes. Okay, 15 if you put a really thick layer on there, and the first layer shouldn't really be very thick, then it'll take a little bit longer to dry. Okay, and then after you do that, after it's relatively dry to the touch, put a second coat on and make sure they're as smooth as you can get them. Okay, so that's a nice smooth coverage there. Okay, and the first one, you know, may not look as smooth, but the second one, usually you get better coverage and it's a lot smoother. Okay, so that's what it looks like. And so when you're doing this part, rest it in the holder this way. When you're doing this part, rest it in the holder this way and let them dry. Okay, so once these are dry, right, then we want to put these light green leaves on. And you're gonna really like this project. I don't find it that it's difficult, and like I said, I've done this one a number of times. It's a favorite with students and other people because it's relatively easy. It's a little labor intensive, but it's easy labor. Okay, so and they always come out good. I've never seen a bad one. So stop the recording if you need to. Let your ornament dry. Now, once you return, okay, and when you're not using your big brush, okay, put it in the water. Okay, don't let the paint dry in your brush. And you're not going to need this big brush anymore. So if you wanted to, you could clean it all the way. And when I say all the way, I mean get all of the paint out of it. And how do you know when all the paint is out of it? Like when you do this, it should not turn green on the cloth, okay? So I have a brush cleaner. So I take them, I clean them with the brush cleaner, and then I give them this test. And if they come out clean, then I know all the paint is out of them, okay? So if you're going to really get into the painting, get yourself some decent supplies, have decent supplies. And if you're leery about going out, look at these brushes. There's more pointy brushes here. If you're leery about going out, most of these I have ordered online, and they deliver them right to your home. Okay? So now I want to put these light green leaves on. So I have my original green that I was using, and I'm going to use my large and small brushes, okay, to put on different size leaves here. Okay. So to mix the paint, I'm going to take the green, and this is where you're going to use your yellow. I'm going to open up this yellow, I think, and put it on my plate, like so. And now, before I mixed a little bit of the green with brown to get a nice, rich, earthy green-brown color. Now I want to get this nice light color in here. So once again, I'm going to take my green. I'm going to put enough out there. I mean, this is, you know, it's an ornament. It won't take like lots and lots and lots of paint, but you don't want to have to kind of mix it twice either. So my tendency is probably to make a little bit more than what I need. Okay, so I have this green, right? And remember, if you're making green, it's blue and yellow. So once I have my green mixture, I want to add some yellow to it. Right? So you can start to see a change. It lightens it right away, right? But not enough for me. I want it lighter still. Okay, so you can see. Okay, I'm kind of holding this up in the air, so. So I will add a weird angle, but I'm putting quite a bit of yellow in here because, again, I have a very dark background, and I want this, my leaves to show up a little bit. So that's kind of a pretty green color, but I think I want it even lighter. So it might have been a good idea to actually start with the yellow and add the green. But this is working out too. Okay, that's pretty. Okay, so I'm liking that green. That looks pretty good to mow off. Okay. Okay, so, and actually that looks pretty too. Let's put a little bit more yellow out in the plate here. I'm going to put another dab of yellow out here. Okay, so I did put another dab of yellow right here. And the reason I did that is because I think I'd like a really light green. Okay, so I have a light green, and I have a nice, really lime, almost a fluorescent lime color here. That's really nice. Okay, so what I want to do now, I have quite a bit of paint on the brush, so I'm actually going to take some of the excess off the brush. Right. Now remember what I told you about using the pointy side of the brush. So if in fact I load the brush and then I just touch it to the plate like this, see how it makes a leaf shape? It makes a nice leafy shape on there. Okay, so that's what I want to do right on the bulb, and I'm wondering I have a brush that's even a little bit more pointy. Try this one. This one's a little smaller. You try it and see what happens. Let's try it. Okay. You could try it out right on you. Okay. So this one looks like it'll make good smaller ones. I'm gonna go back to the big one. Okay, so now make sure that your ornament is dry enough for you to touch. And think about which side is up. Okay, this side is up, the neck at the top. Okay, so I am going to load my brush with these greens. Okay, and I'm going to just touch it. Okay, just touch it to the ornament. Okay, I know you can't see what I'm doing here. Wait a minute. Okay, kind of cool, kind of cool. I'm going to go into the darker. Okay, so I have some darker here. And it's absolutely okay to let them overlap. It's actually pretty if you do. Okay, so I'm thinking that if I put a bunch of leaves here, then I'm actually going to have some red here. But you can put them wherever your heart desires. Okay. And like I said, this is really a fun piece to do. Right? And some I have a lot of paint on here. Some I have just a little paint on here. Some I have the really light paint on here. Let's do this one. Look how pretty that is already. You almost don't need the poinsettias. Okay, so make sure you just hold it like an axis. Like pretend it's the earth going around on its axis. Axis. All right, so you just make some cool leaves here. And this, look how cool that looks. I laid the brush in both the yellow and the green that I mixed. Some of these are real yellowy, some are not. Some of them are close together, some are not. And I'm taking the paint and sometimes I'm layering right over what's there. These are going to be these kind of background leaves here. The red will eventually kind of take over a little bit, but we want some nice background greens in here. I'm turning this around, trying not to touch this part with my hands. Okay. So just like those of you who are familiar with one strokes, you might have heard the name Donna Dewberry. She's the one who kind of made it very popular. I don't know if she invented it, but she certainly made it popular. Okay, and what she did is she would create flowers and other designs, and sometimes she would double load the brush, like she would have a big square head brush, and she'd dip one corner of it in one color, and the other corner in a different color, and then she would do like a flower in one stroke. It's quite beautiful. The work is quite beautiful. Okay, so again, some of these leaves I'm putting close together, some I am not. I'm not making them even. I'm really just decorating this, bringing out some greens. And look how cool it looks up against that dark, dark background. Okay, so I'm turning it around because this side has nada. So I'm going to go light green up here, and maybe some even up here, maybe. Okay, and there's not a wrong way to do this. Okay, so I have a light green over a dark green. Okay, and you can dip in your dark green. There is, like I want to repeat and say, there's not really a wrong way to do this. You can have dark over light, light over dark. You are the creator. Okay. I like the little highlights and stuff. It's cool. You can redab. This one is extremely wet. So I'm just going to redab it to get some of the paint off. So let's see here. None on the bottom. Turn this around, and I'm being very careful again to kind of not mess up what I have there. Beauteous, beauteous. Let's take and put some on our bottom. There. There. Maybe. That one came out kind of big, liking it. If you wanted to, you could use these tips to pull out these ends if you like a more leafy look, certainly. I like I like them very natural looking. This is a very yellowy one because even though I have a lot of green on my brush, I just put the brush inside the yellow paint. Now this is pretty even here. There's a spot here that maybe could use a little bit of color. Okay, and if you're really observant, you'll notice that none of them have just four leaves on them. If you do four, they get kind of boxy looking. So typically, an artist will do an odd number. So in this case, 5. You could do 3 certainly, but shy away from like doing 2 or 4. Stay with the odd numbers like 3, 5, and 7. Okay. But for these, I have no idea how many leaves are on a poinsettia plant, but okay, so I've made all of these with a kind of big brush, so I'm going to retire my big brush to the water, and I'm going to take up this smaller brush and try making some smaller leaves here. And this brush is quite a bit smaller, so let's see what it looks like. Ha! Beautiful. Wait till you see it. Okay, look right there. Look how tiny that is. So little kind of baby leaves in here. Very cool. So you have the mama ones and the papa ones and the babies. Okay, so let's do a few more because I'm like so happy now. Okay, and again, don't be afraid to overlap. Some of the ones that are relatively dry, okay, if they're on the light side, you know, you can overlap with a little bit of dark here. Okay, and we can put them in these little spaces here. is very, it's, you know what? It's so pretty. You could use it just like this. And if you have some sparkles, we're not going to sparkle on this because some people don't have sparkles, but you definitely could sparkle these without any problem. Look, it's exciting. Okay, I'm going to do, told you not to touch it, and I touched it. Okay. So I'm going to do another little one here, and I'm going to overlap over the dark green, I think. Let's see, let me take a look. Okay, maybe here. And my goal is not necessarily to like fill every crevice, but once I start putting the red poinsettias on, I don't want to try and do fillings afterwards. So I almost would rather have too many than not enough. But I want them to be pretty. I want them to look like they're connected. And sometimes if you have lots and lots, then it can kind of lose that connected feeling. So again, don't be afraid to overlap. If you are overlapping, use a different value. And what I mean by that is if you are putting a flower over another flower, make sure that one is darker or lighter than the other. Like see how yellowy this one is compared to what is behind it. Okay. So let's take a look. I can see a space right there that my brush wants to fill. Love the holiday season. And I mean, a lot of people say, you know, it's too commercial, it's this, it's that. But I say it's whatever you make of it. Okay. So if you decide that you're going to make only homemade gifts, that can work and can be very treasured by your family and friends. And when they know that you've kind of made it yourself, it is a kind of a big deal because you've put time, energy, and you know, whatever money you've spent certainly for supplies. But the important thing is that you put the time and the energy into it for a specific person or family. Okay, so it's meaningful to them. And so, you know, if money is an issue, and for some people it is, especially during this pandemic, you can always make cookies and just say, hey, Merry Christmas, and I need this plate of cookies for you. Okay, so there's a number of ways to make Christmas not so commercial. Okay, when my niece was young, she's in her 30s now, but when she was 7 or so, I did a children's class in Eureka, and every Christmas or holiday season, we would go around to like nursing homes and stuff, and we'd sing Christmas carols. And you know, my niece at 7, she'd say, "Are they going to pay us to do this, Auntie?" And I'd say, "Not in money." I said, "You'll get paid in good feelings." She just kind of looked at me like, you know. But we went to this one place, and as we were singing, there was this one older young lady, and she was in a wheelchair, and she started to kind of cry a little bit. You could see tears coming to her eyes. So when we left there, my niece was like, did you see that woman crying? And I'm like, yeah, I saw her. And she's like, we better go home and practice. And so, you know, I started to chuckle. I said, well, I said, you know, I said, there are such things as tears of joy. Okay. I said, so maybe us singing to her reminded her of her family and when they used to sing and blah, blah, blah. Could be a good thing. She says, well, she said, I was feeling kind of good. She said, but I wasn't sure why she was crying. So afterwards, I said to her, what do you think? I said, you want to do some more? She said, yeah. So we went and we sang not only for our nursing homes, but we went to her grandmother's house. I called ahead to let grandma know we were coming. So when we got there, we had cocoa and cookies, and it's definitely worth. So we did that for years, and she learned that, the true value of giving from the heart. We were doing something we really enjoyed, and it was really, really helping other people. We spread the joy. Okay, so as I'm talking to you, we're just letting this dry a little bit. Okay, however, what you can do now is, again, stop the video, and depending on how thick you put this paint on, right, I'm going to say give it a good 15 minutes or so. Some of my paint is pretty thick, but it's drying just as I was kind of talking to you. It is drying a little bit. So let's go ahead. Let's go ahead. Pause your video. Pause your video and let this dry really, really well. And then we're going to come in with some white and do some of that priming that I was telling you about. Okay, so stop the video. Give us about 10-15 minutes, and then I'll see you in 2 seconds. The magic of video and computers. So welcome back. And so now that your ornament is all nice and dry, let's reposition you so you can see once again what is going on here. All right, so we have our ornament, okay, and this is what it looks like. And mine is still a little wet, but I think we can go right ahead, okay? So I'm going to place it on its little perch here for a few more seconds. And now I'm going to take a new plate, a new palette, all right? And on this palette, I'm going to put just some white paint, right? Because again, we are going to go ahead and prime. Okay, so this kind of went flying across the plate and on. I think I missed the computer. At least it looks like I missed the computer. So that's a plus. Okay, I do have it all over me. So let's do this and clean up some of the table and what this computer is sitting on. All right. So now I'm going to take my white paint, and again, I'm going to use it to prime. And I'm taking my brushes, and I am cleaning them out very good. Okay, so I'm taking my water, and the only brush that I'm not going to use is the really, really big one, because again, I just kind of used that to put my background on. So as I'm doing this, you can see that the water is starting to turn a pretty minty green color, which is, even though it's a pretty color, we do not want that, we don't want the green mixed in with our white. So again, the way you can tell if your brushes are really, really clean is when you kind of test them, okay? And you can see that there's green coming off of here. And it's because it's all green kind of in that bottom. So I'm actually going to press a little bit harder on the brush here to get at that bottom. Okay, so we're getting better here. So we may need some cleaner water. Let's go into a cleaner batch of water. Okay, I have several plates here. And now I'm getting a clean white. Okay, so I'm going to dry this brush off. We don't want to have a lot of excess water in the brush, because then it's going to water down your paints a little bit. Okay, so the idea here is to go ahead and kind of put the white where we want the red poinsettias to go. So again, we're going to do some dipping in the white here, and I have the bigger brush, And I want to leave some of this greenery here. So I'm actually going to go like in the spaces between it. Okay, so I'm ending up like this, right? And it absolutely is okay to overlap, right? Okay. You can have some space in between them. You can show some of your dark green if you like. Again, there's nothing, the cool thing about this particular project is that you can't, they're really, really, I have not found a wrong way to do this. They look lovely no matter kind of what you do to them. Okay, so I'm keeping my flowers kind of keeping the petals together so that they indeed look like flowers. Okay, but I'm actually putting them here, there, and everywhere. Okay, and I kind of want the pointy sides to be on the outside. And these you absolutely can put more petals because we're going to have some background petals and some foreground petals. So you definitely can put more than 5. And you can overlap them. And I'm kind of thick with my paint here. All right, so it's going to take a little bit longer to dry, but I like having lots and lots of petals here. I like the red on the dark green background. Absolutely gorgeous. Okay, so oh, I'm painting everything today. I just painted my my drinking glass. Okay, so this is what we're looking like so far. Okay, so I'm going to do some down here. Now there's some nice green there. I want to leave some of it, but definitely going to town here and putting some. There's actually lots of petals here. Okay, so I am going to switch to the smaller brush, and I'm going to do the same thing with the smaller brush that I did with the bigger one, and that is I'm going to clean it until it comes out white when I wipe it. All right, so my thoughts for doing this is to just put some of the smaller petals in, and again, wherever you want them is where they go. Beauteous, beauteous. Okay. La, 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 at the Drake Council on Aging, we usually have a holiday kind of choral production type thing, and we're not doing that this year. Bethany, if you're listening, maybe we could do that online. That would be really cool. But we usually practice some holiday songs, and we get together, and Mike and Rocky are musicians, and they usually play, and we usually sing. Okay, I'm liking this. I'm wondering if I need more here. So I'm trying to envision them red, and is that enough? And I'm going to put in a few more. You knew that was coming. Okay, let's go to this side. Okay, so I want my dark green showing. I want some of my light green showing. Okay, so that's what I'm looking like. Okay, and I am liking that, baby. Okay, so I'm wondering if this is enough. Red here, here, and there. I'm gonna leave it like this. I'm really liking it. And like I said, you could almost leave it the way it is, but we're not gonna do that. We're going to, once again, let this dry a little bit. So let's go over here. Okay, and once again, through the magic of computer and all that good stuff, let's stop the computer, stop the recording, and let this dry. Say another 15 minutes, and I'll join you in a second. Also, while you are waiting for your white to dry a little bit, you can take your detail brush or you can take the back of a brush, or you can take even a toothpick, okay? And what we want to do is just go into this yellow a little bit, and you can begin to put in some of those little viney features here. So I'm going to put one in right here. Okay. Right. That's what they look like. Right. And you can see them even better in the handout. See those little vines in the leaves? So while we're waiting, let's just dip into our yellow just a little bit and put some of those vines in there. Okay, I'm gonna just rest my baby finger on here, very lightly adding some of these veins in the greens, okay? And you can do as many or as little of those as you want, okay? And then I'm gonna, like I said, let this dry just a little bit more. And again, stop the recording, let it dry, put it under the fan. Okay. In the meantime, let's mix some more colors. Yay, yay, yay. All right. So when we look at this, what we see is some of the back petals a teensy bit darker than the front petals, and they're a little bit lighter. Okay, thus background, foreground. Okay, so I'm going to take my reddest red, shake it up, baby. Let's see here. It is opened. Okay, so I'm going to take my reddest red and put it on here like that. Right, and I'm wondering, is that going to be enough? Probably, but let's do a little bit more. I'm going to do 2 piles because, again, I want one to be darker for the background. All right, and how am I going to get it darker? You guessed it. I'm going to use my trusty brown. Okay, so I'm going to use the bigger brush. All right, now I'm rinsing this brush out really well. Now it had white on it, so it's different if it had green on it because then it's going to come out kind of brown. But I'm going to rinse this relatively well here. I'm even going to go into my clean water, I think, and see if it's okay. So see, I'm coming out really clean here. Like I said, the white is not such a strong color. So it's a little bit easier to clean off your brushes. But I am going to take this brown that's here and put it here and add it to here a little at the time, because I do want a richer value here, or a darker value. Okay, now I'm wondering if that's dark enough. But see the difference in the 2 colors there? I might add a teensy bit more brown to that. I could be a little daring. I can do it if I want to. I am the creator. I actually like that. Look at that. It's like a crimson red in there. It's very pretty. Okay, so again, background. I'm going to do background. And I am going to use my white as a guide. Okay, so I'm going to put those darker darker ones on there. Okay. And I am covering my whites. Okay, so those are my darker ones. And I'm going to even do the little baby ones here. Okay, and it's all right if some of the white is showing because we want to be able to see the really red ones as well. So, and those will show up even better with the white background. Okay. So even though I'm overlapping my white, and actually I could use a little bit more of a point. And those little poinsettias. Okay, so they're coming out kind of maroon in color. Okay, okay, again, let's see if we can get a little point going on over there, Joni. That's better. Okay, so again, let it be okay to overlap. Let it be okay to let some white show through. We definitely want that beautiful, those beautiful greens to show up as well. Okay. So again, we're just doing the touch thing. We're just getting a little touchy. Okay, so you want to load the brush relatively well here. Okay. So again, trying to keep the area relatively clean here. That's a little bit better. Like I said, even these little guys here. So we're leaving some of the white only because we want different values of reds to actually show up here. This is almost like a Victorian color. It's almost like a Victorian Christmas bulb. And I'm sure that in other belief systems and whatnot, that they have poinsettia plants and celebrate in all kinds of good ways. So Christmas, Hanukkah, however you celebrate, absolutely awesome. Okay. Let me see. Stuck my hand right on it. Duh. So let's try this hand and see what we see here. That looks pretty, very pretty. Okay, so now we absolutely want to let this dry a little bit as well. Okay, and I'm just kind of blowing on it a little bit here. Take my finger off of there and gonna let this dry. And this paint is not quite so thick. So I am going to I want to give it a good 10 minutes or so. Okay, so we want to make sure this is somewhat dry. I mean, it can be a little tacky, but we want it to be pretty dry here. So I'm being careful not to touch it. And I'm taking my nice bright red here, which I've gotten my fingers into. Okay, so let's try this. Okay, so now we kind of want it where the white is. Okay, and we want this, we want the dark to actually show up as well. Okay, so ending up with something on this idea, and we have a little bit of red, white rather, going on there. So put your beautiful bright red layer on now. And you kind of don't need to guess where to put it because you have your white to kind of help you. And you don't want to cover all of the dark. Okay, we want it to look like there's a dark layer underneath there. Try not to stick your fingers in it like your instructor is doing here. So we can see the dark, we can see the light. It's like a whole another layer. And besides making a thing of beauty, which I definitely would consider art, thing of beauty, it's very relaxing. And this time of year, if you are out busy doing lots and lots of things, and some of us are home, and some of us are, if you're healthy enough and you can do it, go out and help, help people with shopping, whether it be grocery shopping or whatever is needed. Okay, so this is a busy, busy time of year, but it can be a wonderful, good busy. Sometimes folks will say that to me, oh my gosh, you're so busy. And I always have to kind of chuckle at them and say, yeah, I think so, but it's always a good busy. So I'm really liking that it's a good busy. Okay, so as I'm looking around, I notice I am getting some pretty decent coverage here. I like it. Okay, so I'm gonna take a look around because I actually think I'm done with this red. Okay, so if your did not come up quite red enough, you can let it dry and absolutely go over it once again. Okay, take a look, okay. We are going to take our small brush, the smaller brush that we have, and we are going to pick up some of our brown, okay, and we're going to just kind of go around some of these. All right. So what we're doing is we're actually defining actually defining some of them. Okay, so if you have blobby, which we won't say who's a blobby. Okay, if you have some blobby ones and you want to give them a little bit more shape, absolutely. See how we're giving them a little bit more shape. And I'm using just the brown because we have enough red on here to it'll automatically mix with the red. So you're not going to get this big blob of brown. You're going to get a big blob of reddish brown, which is what we're looking for. Okay, I'm also going to use some of the yellow to create some vein work in here. Okay, the same way we did with the leaves, we can get some veins in here. Okay, see that? So I'm going to kind of switch back and forth from the brown to the yellow, and I'm going to kind of work these as to what's needed. So if they look like they're kind of coming together rather than like individual petals, I'm going to put some brown around them just to give them a little bit more definition. And once I give them a little bit more definition, I'm going to put some little yellow veins in there. Remember that you're the person creating here. You're the creator. Okay, so if you like them just the way they are, leave them just the way they are. If you like them a little bit more defined, make them a little bit more defined. You're going to make these exactly the way you like them. This one I am going to define because I just dabbed all over the place here. There we go. And again, we have some in the back, some in the front. I have yet to find a wrong way to do these babies. They're absolutely gorgeous. Okay, so I'm going to once again take my yellow, putting in some veins, vein work here and there. Can you see me? Sometimes I forget to make sure I stay in camera. Okay, so you can do that to as many as you want and not. See, I like that. I like when they're wet and you're kind of dragging the red and the yellow together. If you like it, try it. If you don't like it, don't do it. This is your baby. Okay. All right. So this is what we have here. It's really, really exciting. Okay. Our last finishing touch is the yellow dots in the center. Okay, and our centers should be on the dark side. So when we put these yellow kind of berry dots in there, they really show up because that middle is kind of dark. See it? That awesome? Let me see if I can get close enough. I am just touching. Okay, And the fact that they're coming out different sizes is a plus, okay? So if you're trying to turn this, I am actually using my fingernail to turn it, trying to not smudge it. And again, you know, if you are not confident about this part, absolutely stop it. Stop it and let it dry. I like working these last few steps when it's wet because I like the way that the paint kind of merges and drips together. That one is too drippy. So that raises a very good question. How do you fix one that's too drippy? Because what I'm finding is students are kind of like, oh my God, I made a mistake. And I'm like, yeah, so what? If I threw out every single picture that I made a mistake on, I said, you would not see any of my artwork. So the trick to this is when that dries, just paint right over it. Or wet a brush and pick it up. Ta-da! Okay, so there's a number of ways to work with a picture or a piece of artwork. These ornaments, including the one before this one, I have done this on rocks. Okay, and actually, the rock came out so good, and I actually you can put like Mod Podge or some kind of sealer over them, and it actually gives them a little bit of shine as well. And I have a cousin who she just really, really appreciates art, and she has a very good eye for beautiful things. So the fact that she liked it so well, and it was a rock with this pattern on it and shiny. And I had invested in some acrylic stands or holders. This one has a little bit of green in it. That looks awesome. And so I gave it to her and her husband 1 year to put in their brand new addition. And she puts it out every single year now. And just, when she says she likes it, I totally believe her. Look, look. Oh my gosh, loving it. So I think I have all my dots in. There's nothing worse than finishing a piece and you're getting ready to seal it or put some sparkles on it or do something more to it, and then you notice that you forgot a piece. Oh my God, what's up with that? So like I said, while they're wet, it's time to put these little veiny things on, because look what happens. Some of them just blend right in it. For me, it just makes them look so much more natural. See, look, look. So I have dark red, red. Let's put one right here. Sometimes it's a little difficult to do standing up, but I've done so many of these tutorials, you think my body would be used to it. Okay, I think we're going to call this done. All right, and if you are in fact giving this as a gift, okay, sign it. I'm Joni. You can reach me because people inevitably, they seem to have questions like, how did you get that color? Or how long did you let it dry for? Or is Jonissa, Jon as in Nancy, I, S as in Susan, A at Comcast.net. All right, so if you want to get in touch with me, you can do it that way. You can call me, 978-807-7608 is my cell phone. So if I do not answer, and that is a possibility, leave a message. I will make sure I get back to you. Okay, so leave a message and let me know when's a good time to call you back and leave your question. And don't lose the top of your ornament, so you can put it back in. And you can even attach a beautiful red ribbon to it to hang it. Okay. Drake Council on Aging, 951 Mammoth Road, Drake, Mass. Get in touch with them. Even though the center is not open for activities, the staff is in the office and essential services are still available, food and all kinds of services. So whatever you need, give them a call. They care about you, okay? Drake Council on Aging, DATV, Drake Access TV, BATV, Borica Access TV, GHAA, Greater Haverhill Arts Association. Okay, we care, right? This is my tips. Have an awesome holiday season. Stay healthy. The best defense is a healthy body. I harass my family. Take vitamin C, take some zinc, D3, okay? So, and get lots of rest and outside breathing the fresh air at least 10 minutes a day. Every single piece of research I've done, and I've done quite a bit, okay, that's the general consensus. That's kind of what everyone that I looked at had in common, right? So pandemic or no pandemic, stay healthy, stay healthy. And when the center opens back up, I want to see you there. Okay, I teach art there. I am the resident artist, teach art there every Wednesday from noon to 2. And we do a fun and paint, which is the center's version of wine and paint once a month. Okay, so we will see you there. Have a wonderful, wonderful holiday season. And I think I have one more tutorial scheduled that you will absolutely love. So stay in touch, be happy, be creative. Bye. Bye for now.